You know, we talk about taking action. We talk about how these corporate leaders are afraid of the R word. But honestly, being, a person of color, the only racist remarks I hear every day in the media are coming from the white liberal who thinks can't do math, I can't get a freaking driver's license, I can't read, and somehow I made it to college by being a victim, all right? So if we're going to take action, how do we wake up these minorities, and how do we get our conservative people who are colorblind, and I trust them more than any white liberal any day to not be racist? How do we team up and fight back against these white liberals with these ideas that we're all illiterate, can't get a driver's license, and we're somehow victims just because I was born a little bit darker?
So I want you guys to listen to that closely. It's already happening, and you being here and talking with this much force, they're very worried. And they should be, because I'm telling you, if we do our job, in 10 years, the Latino community will be a majority conservative community in our country. It won't even be close. And I have the same sort of hope and optimism in Black America. Here's the one piece of advice I have for you. You need to get louder and noisier, because whether we like it or not, identity politics is what drives a lot of this conversation in our country. And you, being a first-generation immigrant, do you speak Spanish or speak Spanish, and you served our country, because they value arguments from identity over truth. I'm not a big fan of that. What do we do to help break it up? We need to be very serious about not allowing the media to convince us that the way things are is the way things will be, that we can make serious movements in one direction. I have hope and optimism because we are getting more questions like this. Charlie, what can I do? What can I do? Man, let's make more noise. Let's get our message out. Let's communicate again. We have to fix the distribution problem, because a lot of the portals of communication in the Hispanic community tend to be very, very far to the left, and Telemundo, Univision, just to name a couple. So we got to fix that problem, but people like you are the solution. College should be about career preparation, not ideological exploration. It's too expensive. So it should be, how can we get you the most prepared for what you want to do in the shortest period of time? Everyone is told they have to go to college, so we tell our high school seniors, hey, where are you going to school? Not why are you going to school? And guess what? Four-year college is not the answer for everybody. In fact, I think we have far too many people going to four-year universities. I think we need more people in trade schools. We need more entrepreneurs. We need more gap years, more veterans, more people, HVAC, plumbers, more people that are studying computer engineering, learning to code, or maybe just saying, you know what, I'm going to go to community college, I'm going to figure it out. This insistence that you have to go to four-year college or you're going to be considered less intelligent is actually making our country less competitive. And guess what? The solution is not free college for everybody. Because first of all, nothing is free in life. You have to reject that. Number two, would the solution really be student loan forgiveness, forgiving everybody's loans all at once? First of all, that's not fair to those of you in this room that managed your college costs, maybe went to community college first, maybe took a lot of AP courses in high school, maybe got scholarships and works your ass off for them. All of a sudden they're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna forgive other people that didn't do that. You think college is expensive now? Just wait till it's free. If they think everyone's gonna get forgiven, all of a sudden tuition could double over 10 years. College tuition is one of the few things in the world that has gotten more expensive over the last 10 years and is worthless. Not worth less, not worthless, but worth less over the last 10 years. Some people say it's worthless. I don't think it's necessarily worthless. But over the last 10 years, it's worth less than it was 10 years ago. That is not a market. And we have to break the culture that you need to go to college to succeed, and it's automatic for your particular career path in America. And guess what? I hear this all the time. People say, oh, you know, you're less intelligent or less wise or less smart just because you didn't go to college. I think that creates a huge dichotomy between the haves and the have-nots.
I was speaking with some people who are kind of against you coming here today, and they say that you come here, you're media trained, you've memorized all these talking points, and I just kind of wanted to question, like, are you truthfully like here to try to change people's minds, or is there kind of a benefit to keeping people divided? Like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, do you think it's better for the country to be divided ideologically, or is it like preventing a more progressive debate?
Well, I guess, how am I dividing people if I ask you if you disagree, you come to the mic? How is that divisive?
Well, no, I'm just saying it's like you have these like clickbaity titles. It says like prove me wrong. Do you try to like your critics are saying that you're trying to keep people divided. They're urging people not to come talk to you because you're going to spin it. What would you like to say to like your critics?
They're welcome to come to the microphone and say whatever they want to me, but they're intellectual cowards and they won't do that.
Okay,
You know how we heal our divides? By talking to people we disagree with.
I would agree with that.
We will get closer to a civil war if we act like that. We just yell at people we don't like. You dress with, I guess I'm in all black, but, with masks on and just with stupid epitaphs. Okay, like that's how you get closer to dividing the country. You heal the country when you allow disagreement and you allow a microphone with people that have differing views.
But I think when you come out and you say like civil war and you use these like fear-mongering words, I feel like you're definitely trying to like get people like riled up, and that helps.
I mean, it's 100% factual. We're close to a civil war in this country, and I don't want that to happen. And people that act like that are going to further radicalize both sides, and you de-radicalize a population through speech.
I would say that conversation and media and like spreading the word definitely like that's like how you bridge the gap. But like when you're talking about the immigration debate, you said if you were here illegally, then you should get deported. I feel like that is stopping.
That's a very moderate view, by the way.
I feel like that's stopping like a more progressive debate on how we could help solve the immigration crisis. And
you solve it by deporting the criminals, aka every single one that broke our laws to come here. That's a very moderate position.
But I'm just saying, like, there's like ideas out there that America's this free land, and if you come here, you make it rich. Like, there's a false narrative that's like going out, that's like causing people to come here illegally, and like they try to cross the Rio Grande, and they unfortunately, like, a lot of times, like, if Border Patrol can't save them, then it stops them. So I think there's a more progressive conversation that could happen.
I'm sure there's a more progressive way to look at it. Yeah.
No, but
I'm not here to be progressive.
Okay. Well.
You mentioned that local community involvement is so low. How do we increase those numbers? How do we emphasize the importance of being involved in local government?
So I think that if I had to give the biggest piece of critical feedback to conservatives, it is to complain about the macro and to allow the macro to impact the micro. What the most important critical way to answer all those trends is, well, then what are you doing? Do you believe patriotism is important? Do you believe having children is important? And sometimes you have to put the duty above the expediency. The country does the opposite right now. That's why money is going up in the value and everything else is going down. And it's not easy, but boy, is it fulfilling and it's life-giving, I have to tell you. Kind of seeing the excesses of modernity, just always caring about yourself is an awful existence. And it's baked into all of our education system, into our schools. You don't even notice it. How often do you hear a young person have to say that, I'm going to do the right thing even though it's the more difficult thing? So how do we start to change community involvement? You are the solution. Just do it yourself, right? And that's where micro action matters. We got about 100 emails on this genre and about 30 that were really explicit and 10 that would take your breath away. Of all of our listeners and our viewers, of grandmothers that said, I hope my grandkids don't have kids. I wouldn't want a kid to be born into this world. And I think that is an unbelievably evil thing to believe. It is having a crisis of fear, of a posture of fear, an attitude of fear. No, you do the right thing regardless of the weather. I mean, people say, Charlie, you going to have kids in this mess? Of course, because maybe they'll be smart enough to solve it. Maybe we're going to raise good people. How do you have hope without having children? I get these emails of these people and they say, it's all so dark and broken. You got free choice. You got agency. Do something about it.
My question is, if the Founding Fathers could somehow see America, what is one thing you think they'd be proud of that we've overcome or that we've maintained? And what is one thing you think they'd be disappointed in?
Disappointed in almost all of it. But yeah, look, I think what they would be most surprised, let me start with this. I think it's very well agreed upon, is the creation of this fourth branch of government. Is this unelected administrative state that came up in the Woodrow Wilson presidency of the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Justice, the EPA, this unaccountable, unelected fourth branch of government that has unlimited amounts of power, that kind of operates in total violation to the promises, the moral claims of the U.S. Constitution. The moral claims of consent to the governed. Where do they get their consent from? They just operate on their own. They always exist. The machinery grinds on. Separation of powers? Not really, because they're almost above the three branches of government. Well, the thing that really troubles me the most about the fourth branch of government is another one of the claims that Madison and Hamilton and Jay made in the Federalist Papers is checks and balances. What is the check right now against this fourth branch of government? Almost nothing. It's as if now the real power is in the inner workings of these bureaucracies. One thing I think they would be really thrilled about or excited about, I think they would be shocked at how long the Constitution stood. They wrote about this in the Federalist Papers, and Thomas Jefferson basically wrote this in so many ways, he's totally misquoted and misunderstood, where people say, oh yeah, he wanted the revolution every couple of years. No, he didn't want that. What he was saying is, this form of government has a tendency not to last. The fact we still have the same United States Constitution that we had in 1787 and 1791 at both ratification of the Bill of Rights and the usual Constitution is unbelievable. That should make everyone pause and say, why? It's because the Constitution was not written for the times. It was written to stand the test of time. John Dewey, who's kind of the father of public education in America, said it's a new age. We have machines and airplanes, and we have gas-powered engines. Humanity is entering a new era. Whereas a conservative say, whoa, 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 just because you have Twitter and you can fly across the country doesn't mean human beings radically improve. We're just as selfish and greedy and broken as we were, regardless of the technology we have. In fact, the technology only amplifies how broken we actually are. It only makes evil easier. And so, I think, without belaboring the point, the founders, I think, would actually be stunned at how much we have screwed up and how much of a chance we still have to revive it.
You don't want any immigrants speaking other languages, or you just want
No, I want the government to have an official language of the U.S. Our documents are written in English.
So what's the issue with there not being an official
Because a nation of foreigners is not a nation, it's a colony. You're foreign to one another.
Well, that kind of goes against capitalist ideas, though.
Why?
That's all diverse. In a capitalist society, you want a free market with free choices.
Yeah, but the best ideas win. So the diversity is not the strength, the excellence is the strength.
Well, the diversity is the platform for the strengths.
So diversity is a temporary condition to eventually get to excellence, right?
I guess temporary.
Because if you have really bad food poison food and really good food, the good food is going to win out. So it's not the diversity of food, it's the competition of it.
Well, I mean, sure.
Yes. If you have a football team and everyone's calling their own plays, diversity is not the strength of the football team.
Well, that's a lack of leadership and systematic institutions.
I agree. So the question is, what is a country? Is a country a set of laws, traditions, and customs, or is it just a bunch of random people living there?
It's a group of people with an established system that share collective ideas and
language.
identity.
And language.
It doesn't have to be language.
Well, language is how we communicate values.
We can communicate in other ways as well.
How?
Google Translate. We can talk in different
Yeah,
languages.
that's a little sloppy. So Switzerland has a national language, right? Hungary has a national language. China, Japan. Why do they get a national language and we don't?
Because they're based on different values than the U.S. was.
Maybe.
The U.S. was founded on freedom.
Hold on. We overplay the liberal part of our founding. There is a liberal part of our founding and a conservative part of our founding. And we have forgotten the conservative part. The conservative part is about preservation, separation of powers, and preserving a republic. The liberal parts are the Enlightenment, speech, advancement, and that's part of it. But we've completely rewritten our history. It says in the Declaration of Independence, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands that have tied them to another, deriving from the separate equal station of power, the laws of nature and nature's God. The Founding Fathers were saying that there's a natural law that governs our entire existence. There has to be something that slows down progress for progress' sake.
So you don't think that our society could run efficiently and well if there's not a national language?
No, it's just harder. It's not an impediment. It's just stupid not to do. It's not like a deal breaker. It's just why not do it? It's hurting us. It's unnecessarily hurting us.
You talked about people like Ibram who actually came to speak at my college campus. So what advice would you give to students like us who disagree with this, who want to fight back, but are fought every way? We're fought in every corner, every step of the way. We're trying to get a turning point on campus and not happening. Trying to take all these steps to fight back, and they're just fighting us at every step. If I have kids one day, what do we do if it keeps going this way? I mean, homeschooling is always an option, but if we'd like to send them to school, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't have any easy answers when you experience opposition. For the young people in the room, raise your hand if you've been treated differently or graded differently because of your political affiliation or your ideas. Yeah, basically every single young person's hand goes up. Now for some of the parents and grandparents, they're shocked and aghast that we would live in that kind of country. Yeah, we do. You're going to pay a price if you disagree with the status quo. The best thing you can do is you have to make a decision and you have to make a choice of whether or not this sort of endeavor, which will come with opposition, it will come with backlash, it will come with mockery and ridicule against you, is worth it. You're going to all pay a price. No one likes hearing that, right? You're all going to lose friends, but you'll make new ones. You're all going to get kicked out of fraternities and sororities. Who cares about that stuff anyway? Your grades will be different. You get to be something that most people in America wish you could be. The same person in public that you are in private. You do not have to pretend to be somebody that you're not. So you do not have to leave your apartment and go put on a camouflage and a disguise and go be like a woke person when you go to work. No, you'd be like, oh, this is what I believe and why I believe it. Don't want to hire me? Fine, I'll figure it out. If you want to call me these names, fine, I'll figure it out. You act that way, you take almost all their power away. We have given them this kind of societal and cultural power by allowing them to all of a sudden tell us what is socially acceptable, to allow us to what sort of ideas are. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's hard because I know the significance of the words that I'm saying. I know that there will be a price and a consequence. You'll develop the metaphorical muscles to deal with this. A year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, they won't be able to take anything from you. You will be a properly sold individual, which is what? Free. You'll be free.